Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2023 Hack Summit. And we're joined here by Alex Shevchenko, who's the co-founder and CEO of Aurora. And it's a privilege to have you here today. Alex, thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Ed. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
So this is going to be a very special fireside chat. I've been a fan of Alex and his projects for a long time right now, and I've been truly impressed by his progress. So we're going to learn a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a fun fireside chat between the two of us. So Alex, just to get things started, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background, just that we get to know you personally. Like, what were you working on before Aurora, and what was it like growing up, and how did you get into blockchain? Like, any of that would be a fair game.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a techie, born in Ukraine, getting the education in Moscow, actually. For 10 years, I was staying in Moscow. And then my education was around computational mathematics and how to compute. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
I have a daughter myself, so it's understandable.
That's actually a fireside chat. So I was calculating the flow of the oil. But then, in order to do these calculations, you need to actually do it on pretty large computers. I was actually calculating my models on the biggest supercomputer in the US, which is called Sequoia back then. And then after I finished my PhD and I got the degree, I switched to another problem where lots of computers together are trying to solve. And this is the problem of the trust in between these computers. So I transitioned to the blockchain. Back in 2015, I started my blockchain career as one of the first hires in the software department of Bitfury, a pretty large Bitcoin mining company. And since then, my head is occupied by the problems of the blockchain. And in 2020, I joined Near by the invitation of my schoolmate Ilya Polosukhin, and I joined as a product manager for everything related with the Ethereum side of Near, I would say. And back then it was two pieces. One is kind of semi-developed idea of the bridge in between Ethereum and Near, which then was called Rainbow Bridge. And then it was just a vague idea of launching an EVM on top of Near, which became Aurora. So yeah, and pretty soon after me joining Near, we decided to spin off a separate company. Well, because it is blockchain, decentralization matters. Smaller teams, faster delivery, and more opinions on the table. That was the main kind of reasoning for this move.
Thank you, Alex. And one thing that's very unique about your organization is that you have a fairly decentralized team, but a lot of your team kind of hails from the Ukraine and Russia region. So I'm just wondering if you'd be willing to share with the audience what it was like to run a blockchain startup during the crisis when Russia invaded the Ukraine. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah. Oh my God, that was pretty unique, and I would not wish anyone to kind of try it out. Obviously, lots of engineering talent is available in Ukraine and Russia, and these people are just great engineers. Many have a very, very solid education, and yeah, we were caught in the middle of the crisis. Some of the people were moving out of the countries, of both countries, beforehand, and they were kind of planning for this. For others, we were helping them to relocate and make sure that they have all of the arrangements in the countries where they were settling up. At the moment, I can say that Aurora has been supporting the humanitarian needs of Ukraine as a company. I know that many people inside of Aurora are actually helping both humanitarian and military needs, right? So they're helping donating money, including myself. Obviously, I'm really disappointed because of all of these things that are happening, and I hope that everything will get back to more or less normal. Obviously, everyone who has died already, we would not be able to bring them back, but at least normalizing the situation would make lots of sense. I'm a true patriot of my country, and I hope that pretty soon it will stop bleeding and will become again a prosperous and very friendly country to everyone in the world.
Well, our heart is with you, Alex, and it's very disappointing what's been happening in the region. So it's great to see you taking a stand and trying to help folks to get out of that situation. So I think we all admire your work for doing that. So let's move on and talk a little bit about Aurora. So tell the audience a little bit, because not everyone in the audience is up to speed on Aurora. It would be helpful, I think, for everyone to learn what is Aurora and what are you building and what is the product vision and portfolio behind Aurora.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started Aurora with the simple idea. We have the Generation 3 blockchain, which is near. It is better than all of the blockchains that were developed before, just because of one simple feature, and this is horizontal scalability. The way how near is built, including the consensus algorithm, including the runtime, is allowing near to scale, right? In short, the approach of near for scaling is sharding, or kind of separating the execution of the smart contracts in a separate shards, which can be executed in parallel, right? So that's a true parallelization of the blockchain operations. And the initial idea was pretty simple. Well, we have quite a lot of applications that have been running on EVM compatible blockchains already. There are millions and probably hundreds of millions of dollars that are invested into the security of these applications. And why not to give all of these applications kind of a new engine, a new, more scalable, faster engine with a lower transaction fees, with a faster finality of the blocks and so on, right? And the idea was just to launch, give this EVM compatibility, or in general Web3 compatibility for these applications from the Near blockchain. And the solution that we designed was the following. It's both very strange, but it is going to make sense in 2 minutes. So we actually packed an EVM inside of a smart contract and launched it on Near. So now everyone who is signing Ethereum transactions are able to send these transactions to this particular Near smart contract. We call it Aurora Engine, and they are going to be executed on top of Near protocol. However, the reason why we have chosen a smart contract, or this EVM compatibility, to be installed as a smart contract is because we understand that EVM by default is non-scalable. This EVM runtime in general is synchronous runtime, and the only way how it can be scaled is just to launch many of these runtimes, right? And this is what we are seeing with the ideas of, for example, Avalanche with their subnets, or with the Cosmos in general as an approach, or Polkadot, right? There is like intrinsic limitations that require many kind of blockchains or sub blockchains to be launched. And what is this most simplest way how to launch something in the blockchain? Well, it's just deploy a smart contract and then it works. And now we are coming to a point when now it makes sense to launch Aurora as a smart contract. So for 2 years, we have been developing just one instance of Aurora, one mainnet Aurora, and with all of the integrations around it, including the Rainbow Bridge, right? So this is the bridge in between Ethereum, Near, and Aurora, including integrations with indexer solutions like the Graph and Covalent, and also Oracle solutions, and many different infrastructure pieces around it. And what we've launched literally just a month ago was a logical step that we have been foreseeing in the very beginning. And this is the on-demand launch of the EVM runtimes. And it is called Aurora Cloud. And it is available right now at auroracloud.dev. So with this solution, people are able to launch their own EVM blockchains in literally, well, I think that any custom blockchain can be launched within less than a week, something like that. We're actually working on decreasing this time to just a single day. So that's our view on Aurora, right? So Aurora is a set of tools that allows you to work with the blockchain in a convenient manner, because there is the scalability is only one piece, but there is another piece is the convenience and making sure that the user experience is good, making sure that user is able to send transactions without the hassle of obtaining crypto and so on. So we have also several additional products around this thing.
Thank you. And so you hinted at something there, which I thought was really interesting, which is this idea of launching a blockchain, right, using Aurora. So can you maybe explain why a developer would want to do that? Is the idea there that we would be launching our own chains and theoretically we could have, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of chains at scale? And why not just run everything on just a few chains? Why have separate chains for everything? And maybe you can go into the vision that you have behind that.
Yeah, it's a great question. Absolutely right. So from my point of view, stages of the chain back in the days, like in 60s when computers were so like I would like to show here a parallel with the development of the computers, right? So back in 60s, computers were a thing that only big organizations can afford, and they were able to launch them, and then people inside of these organizations were getting quotas on the computational time and stuff like that. So back then, computers in general and computation was very, very limited. And this is actually happening right now with us, with the blockchain world. The computation is pretty limited. So we're not everyone are able to fit inside of the Ethereum blockchain, right? And there is a constant auction for the resources. And when everything changed, it was kind of late 80s when the personal computers were introduced, right? And now everyone is able to have their personal computers. And then another step of the revolution was data centers with cloud computers, right? And cloud computing ideas, right? So more and more computation available to everyone. And blockchain, from my point of view, is just an additional feature for all of this infrastructure that is powering the internet. This is the feature that it ensures this kind of trust level in between and trusted communications in between multiple parties, right? For me, it's just yet another feature. So why not make it available for everyone who is there, right? And what we actually see right now in the Web2 businesses is that, well, they would like to have their servers. There are many of their servers that are run. They have their websites and their different tools run out there. They would like to more control over these things, and they would like to have a predictability in the costs of operation and stuff like that. So all of this is directly translated in the analogy into the app chains, right, or into the customized blockchains for single businesses or maybe some consortia or some kind of organizations that exist. And from my point of view, is just the logical direction of going into it. Another side of it is an ability to introduce custom fee models or custom fee logic inside of the blockchain. So by the nature of the blockchain, there must be a token inside of it in order to make sure that the validators are remunerated for all of their work. And it should be there. However, the business model of the blockchain, i.e. having the base token and the necessity of paying it for the execution of the transaction, is not something that should be necessarily shown to the end user. So at the moment when I'm using, so here's an example, and you will understand immediately what I mean. So at the moment when I'm using YouTube, I'm exposed only to the YouTube business model. I either need to watch an ad or I need to pay $5 per month for a premium subscription. And I don't think about YouTube's CDN serving me the video. I'm not sending 1 cent per video that I'm downloading. I'm not paying to Cloudflare that protects all of the endpoints, right? Because, well, it's just hidden inside of this stuff. So all of the blockchain stuff, it needs to go down the stack. And in order to go down the stack, it means that the end user should not be exposed to all of these complexities of the blockchain. And then it is a business who needs to take care of it, right? So I see the future of the blockchains the following way. There are platforms like Amazon or AWS, right, or Google Cloud, that gives an opportunity for the businesses to get the computational resources with the asterisks. And here the asterisk is an additional feature of the blockchain. And then these businesses are launching something that is blockchainized. They are getting this security. They are able to translate this value into their own value proposition. And for the end user, everything seems normal, straightforward, without any complications. And for this, we need to have many blockchains and many kind of these providers of the cloud, of the blockchain cloud computing, I would say. And that's actually the reasoning behind the name of the Aurora cloud.
Makes sense. And there's been a lot of hype and excitement recently around zero knowledge proofs and ZK and ZK EVMs. How does zero knowledge fit into the vision that Aurora or Near has? Is that a component of what you guys are thinking about in the future, or how do you think about that ecosystem right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the thing is that zero knowledge EVMs are not going to bring anything new into the EVM itself, right? All of the limitations of EVM are going to be there. It doesn't matter how you call it. Yeah, you are able to pack a little bit more transactions, but also there is a limit there. So ZK EVMs are not going to provide unlimited capabilities for computations, right? And then with the optimistic approaches, you need to trust the sequencers and stuff like that. So like there are still lots of computational resources outside of the chain that need to work together in order to create all of the schemes and validate them and so on. But independently of this, all of the research that is happening on ZK EVMs can be translated directly into Aurora, right? So right now, what we are using inside of our smart contract is the actual implementation of the EVM in Rust language, which is kind of working together with Near SDK or with Near runtime. So once the proper ZK EVMs are going to be developed and they are going to be battle tested, and we are going to be 100% sure that they work correctly, then these ZK EVMs can be implemented directly in the smart contract, and they can just work. We have a set of kind of a group of people inside of the bigger Near ecosystem, including Aurora people from Pagoda, which is the main development company behind Near protocol, and other parties involved who are taking care of all of the ZK stuff, right? So we're actively looking into this. For us, it is just an additional incremental increase in the computational power, I would say. However, it is not a breakthrough that sets EVM free. We still need to make sure that there are many EVMs and they are available for everyone. And the good thing and one additional thing I would like to note, that the core piece that we understand is that in case the networks are different and the networks are completely separated, it is going to introduce additional barriers. And we see these barriers already. TVLs are different. On one chain, you are able to trade this token. On another, you are not able to do it. You are not able to freely move your NFTs around different chains and stuff like that. So these problems exist. And because of this combination of Aurora and Near blockchain, we have here a very unique solution that from one end allows you to launch many different EVM compatible networks. From the other end, these networks are just smart contracts on top of Near, which is scalable. And what it means, it means that you're able to, for example, start a transaction in one Aurora network and then call another Aurora network, and this is going to be just a single Near transaction. And then a callback can get back, and then you can call another network and so on. With this solution, you're able to, all of these networks, they're not separated. They are composable. They are working together, and you are able to get from one to another, and which means the TVL is actually combined, right? So we didn't see any kind of this type of solution in the market, and that's why we do believe that these composable networks deserve to have their own name or their own category. So we just called it blockchain containers. Then at the moment, Aurora Cloud is the first of its kind to deliver these blockchain containers available to public.
And is all the technology you're building fully decentralized, or are there partial centralization points within the technology today? And is it fully
No.
decentralized?
Everything is open source. Everything's open source. So Aurora is near is for techies. Aurora is near is the GitHub handle of the org. You're able to go there and see everything there. There is a piece that is there is one particular piece that is not open source, and this is our internal highly scalable RPC infrastructure. However, Aurora works with the public RPC, which is open source. It works with near the Aurora smart contract itself, and all of the smart contracts that are there, they're fully open source. This scalable RPC is just for us to reduce the costs on the maintenance of the mainnet RPC. Right? We call it Borealis.
That makes sense. And let's talk a little bit about the Rainbow Bridge. So the Rainbow Bridge is a decentralized bridge within the Ethereum, Aurora, and Near ecosystem. What are your thoughts around interoperability and bridges? We've seen a lot of bridge hacks in the last year or so. A lot of folks are kind of wondering, is it inevitable that every bridge will eventually be hacked? I can tell you personally that I actually lost some capital staking LP capital on a bridge a while back, and we're kind of the mindset that bridges are kind of very high targets for potential thieves, right? Because there's lots of capital locked up in the bridges, and so it's very attractive to potential traders, right? And it only takes one little bug in the code for a bridge to be hacked, right? So it's almost like an essentially unstable situation where you have like a rock on top of a hill, and if the rock is pushed a little bit in any direction, it falls down the hill, right? So how can we solve for that, and what is the future of bridges from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very, very valid question. I've got lots of sleepless nights because of the Rainbow Bridge, and hell, just the understanding that on the Rainbow Bridge you have 1.5 billion of highly liquid assets like ETH, BTC, and stable coins, and it is there. It is in the blockchain. You cannot stop it. Right? It just works, and indeed, if there is one tiny bug, then it is going to cost lots of money. From the other standpoint, the type of the applications that are holding lots of capital, well, we are not the first who is encountering this issue, right? There are tons of very high value applications that are there. For example, Swift, right? Swift as a network, just it is there, right? And there. The way how people or how criminals are able to utilize the problems inside of the Swift are also can be very, very harmful, right? So on one end, I can say that in general, security is a pretty multi-layered cake. You need to have lots of different things in one org in case you're building in general blockchain project, not only the bridge, but even a single network dApp. You need to have security reviews. You need to review the code. You need to have the secure software development lifecycle, and then you need to have bug bounty, and hopefully, in case you are able to buy it, the insurance. The problem with the bridges is that you are not able to buy insurance for the bridges because nobody is able to provide, even 1 billion coverage, right? So that's a problem. However,
I'd love to dig in on what you just said actually there, because I find this topic very interesting. So like this idea of bridge insurance, I have a point of view, maybe I'm wrong about this, but my point of view is that given how much LPs have been burned with bridges, not your bridge, but other bridges, right, over the last year or so, it feels like insurance might make them feel more comfortable participating in a bridge. So it seems like
Absolutely.
that's only going to be the one thing that completely assures LPs, because you could do all the smart contract audits in the world. If there's insurance, assuming the insurance itself is not hacked, right? If the insurance is not hacked, right? Because that could be its own protocol, right? If you believe that, maybe LPs will be, is that a potential future? And will others provide capital into an insurance pool, and are they willing to take that risk? Like, do you think it's realistic? What do you think?
I think it is realistic, absolutely. But I do believe that the following model is even more even more straightforward. I see. I would actually do this business in case I would not be doing Aurora, right? I see a company that provides both the security audits together with insurance. And what they are guaranteeing, what the service that they are providing is that we are going to be 100% covering everything around this project. You're developing things, you need to follow our instructions. We are going to check every commit. We are going to take care of all of the stuff. And in case something is off, then we are going to pay. So this type of business should be developed, and kind of in case it is there, I'm going to be the first customer.
Yeah, I think Sherlock might be doing that. I think they're trying to do both, which is admirable.
Okay.
I agree with you, by the way. I think your point of view is correct, because you're basically pairing accountability with responsibility. You're saying authority and responsibility be coupled, right? If I'm going to be in charge of smart contract audits, I have to be responsible for those smart contract audits and provide the insurance to back up my work, basically. So I think it's a great vision.
Yeah.
So Alex, we're just about out of time. Do you have any last words for the audience? If the developers want to get involved, is there a website they can go to learn more? Like any suggestions for the developers in the audience?
Sure. We actually just launched the developer portal for Aurora. You can go to developers.aurora.dev. And in general, the ecosystem website is aurora.dev. You're going to find quite a lot of information there. We have lots of tutorials, and in general, in case you have been developing anything for the EVM compatible network, literally you need to change two things in all of your configuration: is the RPC endpoint and the chain ID, right? The number that corresponds to the chain, in order to work with Aurora. In the majority of the cases, no more changes are available. And for everyone, I just want to wish stay focused. Make sure that you're building through the bear markets. Bear market is actually the best time to build different things, just because there is much less noise around. And stay safe, everyone, and wishing you just good continuation of the blockchain. And hopefully US is not going to kill blockchain, at least inside of their own inside of the country, just because I think the US capital and all of the developments that are there in the blockchain, these two are just a great couple. But even in case the US is going to be very, very bad, and all of the regulations are going to ramp up, well, you cannot block Bitcoin, right? You cannot block Ethereum. You cannot block decentralized networks. They are going to survive, and they are going to kick asses of the ones who are trying to block them.
I agree with you. Well said, Alex. Thank you again. Great session today. We learned a lot. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you learned today, consider donating to charity at hacksummit.org. And we're going to be right back. Our next session is going to be Felix, the co-founder of CowSwap. CowSwap's a revolutionary way to perform exchanges of assets in Web3, and I believe it's going to be transformative. So you're going to really love this session. We'll be right back, and thanks again, Alex.
Thanks, everyone.